Hey guys, welcome to PBHS Edge. I'm On God, I have Rashab, Mr. Ellis, and Mr. Woodward, and it is Super Bowl week. I've been waiting for this day, but I've been dreading this day because that means the NFL season is coming to an end. Another amazing season, and a lot of season with ups and downs for all our teams. Hope, disappointment. This is a whirlwind of season. All emotions recovered for all four of our teams, five for AJ Seahawks as well. And I can't think of a better way of ending it off with the Rams versus Bengals matchup in the Super Bowl. I don't know about the rest of my podcast members, but I'm excited for this because the Bengals, crazy team. Joe Burrow, he seems to bring energy to the city, and I always love seeing a city get revitalized. It's amazing to see how one player can change something. Oh, Ron Rivera, listen to this. Yeah, one quarterback can change a franchise. Rivera. Anyways, I think, oh, Stafford too. This is going to be a beautiful Super Bowl matchup. A lot of strengths versus weaknesses. A lot of things are going to be on show. But I think we should kick it off with our quick predictions for the Super Bowl. I think this game is going to be judged by the passing game because the Bengals won't be able to run the ball with the defensive line the Rams have, and I feel like the Rams' weakness is their secondary on their defense if they have any weaknesses. Jalen Ramsey could limit Jamar Weddle and all their other corners going to be able to stop Higgins. And I think this is for Joe Burrow. Hopefully, he can keep his cool under pressure. It's all up to that line, the Spains and the line, those guys to keep him safe. If they keep his jersey clean, the Bengals should win this game easily. But I don't think they will. But we've seen Joe Burrow; he has all the answers to all these questions. So I'm going with the Bengals winning this game, 31-28.
You know, it's always difficult. I know Mr. Ellis can agree with me on this. It's always seeing it your division rival that you consider little bro for a long, long time absolutely tear up your division and tear up the NFL. And what do you know? They're in the Super Bowl. It's honestly, it's like I was talking to Olga earlier about it. It's like he told me it's like him seeing the Eagles in the Super Bowl not too long ago. And I'm just like, Bengals, like Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow. I'm like, when does it end? When does it end? But looking at this game, obviously a huge, huge matchup for both teams. These two teams are matched up pretty good. Um, if LA wants to have any chance at winning this game, oh, you're gonna have to finish on Burrow. You cannot let this man escape. Once he escapes the pocket and he has a window to check it down to Joe Mixon or tuck it and run it, that's how the Bengals are gonna beat you. So, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Greg Gaines, like all of them are gonna have to, get through that horrendous, horrific Bengals O line and get to the QB. And on the other side of the ball, Matthew Stafford has to get off to a fast start, make sure they fire on all cylinders. Cam Akers, Odell Beckham. Uh, keep. I would say Cooper Cup, is going to be huge this game. I mean, the Bengals only have I wouldn't say they won't have any corners that would, cover Cup like that because I personally think Cup's going to go for 100 yards. But the Bengals, their main threat is offense, Jamar Chase. If Ramsey can take away Chase, but the key is that they have to always look out for Higgins and Tyler Boyd. But I'm gonna have to go with the Rams in this one, not because the Bengals are a division rival. Like I'll have to go with the Rams genuinely because I think that their defense is gonna absolutely show out this game. I think they're gonna sack Burrow at least 4 times. And I think the Los Angeles Rams offense is gonna click. Matt Stafford's gonna win MVP. Give me the Rams 30, Bengals 24.
Wow. Just unbelievable that we're sitting here today talking about Cincinnati Bengals in this football game. It just blows your mind. But got to give credit where credit's due. The team showed up. The stars made plays in the big games, which a lot of stars in this league did not in this playoffs. So got to give him credit for that, particularly Burrow. A couple of those runs that he had in the fourth quarter for first downs, those scrambles were massive. So give him a lot of credit. But at the same time, you look back and say, boy, he had 2 interceptions that were dropped in that fourth quarter that would have changed that game. Tannehill had 3 picks in the game before. It leads you to think that despite this amazing run for Cincinnati, it will be a 1-year run. It will be a 1-year run. And I know that everybody wants to get all excited that there's a dynasty brewing in a town that doesn't even have an indoor practice facility. But I'm here to tell you that, they've done a tremendous job drafting. You got to give a lot of credit for that. I don't know how, but then you get this Burrow kid who, I've panned from day one. I'll say it, but at the end of the day, he's delivered epically, and I got to give him credit for that. I want to see him do it long term. I want to see him do it over multiple years. I want to see him do it as the favorite. I want to see him do it without the last place schedule, without a division where the Ravens and Steelers were injured the entire year. I want to see him do it in all those circumstances. But I give him a lot of credit for doing it in these playoffs against some good teams. Let's be real. You go in and win in Kansas City. I don't care how you do it. You do it, and you're down big like that, and you do it. You got to get credit. So they're going to make this game competitive. I think it's going to look a lot like their last Super Bowl appearance. Close right down to the end, like a game-winning drive for the Rams to hang on and win this game 24-23. But big credit to Cincinnati, and hey, let's see how you do as a favorite next year. Statistics say 60%. Not going to look good for you.
You can take the game out of the AFC North, but you can't take the AFC North out of the game. That's you guys just can't fully give it to them. You gotta just stomp on it a little bit. You can't just let them take command of things. You gotta just pull back a little bit on it. But I got you. I understand. If the Bills were there, I'd be in the same place probably. But in this one, I mean, the eye of the tiger, baby. I mean, that's what we got here. This is something else. I mean, I'll say it again. I've been, harkening back to when we had poor Mr. Hawley on and just cursed his team that week. But I think we may have blessed them for the rest of the season. They needed that one good beatdown that they suffered when he came on the air that time to just go on a run. And I agree with what you're saying. I mean, a lot of things have gone well for Cincy. I do think scheduling matters. I mean, but the bottom line is it's hard to win in the NFL. So when you win in the NFL, you've done something. And next year doesn't matter. Last year doesn't matter. And the interesting thing for me, with this fan base and everything is this is their third Super Bowl. They've been in the Super Bowl 2 other times, granted long periods of time between times that they go. And who knows, as you said, Mr. Ellis, we'll see what they look like next year. This could be a 1-year run. This is something that, it's not as easy as you think to get back to the Super Bowl. I mean, talk to Aaron Rodgers, talk to Dan Marino. So we'll see. It is very difficult. That's why, some people will talk about later. It's just amazing that they've been there, a number of times. I can't jump off the Cincy bandwagon at this point, even though I picked against them last week. Point being, I learned my lesson all year long in my poor predictions across the board each week, just chalking up poor pick after poor pick after poor pick. But, all in good fun and ultimately made with what I thought was good logic. But for me, what they did 2 weeks ago, and really it's unfortunate that the game wasn't played last week because I think Cincy could have rolled in with a real good sense of themselves in that one. Whereas the Rams felt a little bit like they survived. Whereas Cincy went out and won that game. They went out and won that game. What they did in the second half and what Patrick Mahomes didn't do, unbelievable. And so you want to take that right away. And so now they've had to wait and they've had to do it in LA. Having a home game for the Super Bowl, I think, is big. You may see the Rams come out a little more relaxed. But it doesn't even matter because the Bengals can do it in the second half. They've shown that. I really thought that AFC Championship game was done. And it was not. Cooper Kupp comes off the bus open. OBJ's always open, hand up every time. You could have 3 guys around him. But that's what makes them dangerous. They got 2 guys that can catch the ball. I like what Matt Stafford's done this year. I think he's proved some people wrong. And Aaron Donald and that defense is going to eat. But how can you pick against Cincy? So I don't love the chili, but I love what the team's doing. I'm going to go last minute. My man from Florida jogs in like it's nothing. Kicks a game winner. Like the greatest kicker in NFL history. That's right. Rashab, I'm talking about Adam Vinatieri. But it's going to be the Bengals kicker for the win. 30-27.
Rashad got real happy when you said greatest kicker ever. He thought Justin Tucker was coming up. But
He had me all excited for
Never.
what, man? Nah, nah.
Never. I will
Justin
never
Tucker's
give
the
up
goat.
Adam Vinatieri. Adam Vinatieri, whose son is a kicker going to UMass.
Oh gosh, just don't just. He's gonna end up. Yeah, he's gonna end up in New England. He's gonna end up in Indy. Just haunt us again. Yeah, he's just gonna come right back at it, man.
Let's hope so.
You may not need that kind of luck. I think we're gonna lose enough on our own merit here these next few years, guys.
looking forward to next season for all of our squads on another hand, it's not shocking because our three teams, Ravens, Steelers, and the Washington Commanders, are all futures looking a little bit murky. A lot of situations going on, and guess who doesn't have a murky future? The Patriots. Whoa. Mr. Woodward went through one season of
It was rough.
Oh
was
yeah, it was
rough.
sure was rough, Mr. Woodward. I've been living that since I was 4 years old, man. Had one off season. It was rough, but a lot of confusion, a lot of uncertainty for our teams. We got some clarity. We're the Commanders now. I'm all for the name. I went to the drive-in event, got a lot of free gear. Great. The atmosphere around the team seems nice. The team seems to be turning a new page. Besides our court cases going on, please sell the team, Schneider. And beyond that, on the field issues and on the field of topics, I don't know if you guys have seen, we're trying to swing big for Russell Wilson this offseason. And I am all for it because, in my opinion, if we get him, he'll be the best quarterback in the NFC.
Don't you dare!
No, Mr. Ellis, he's ours. He's ours.
Don't you dare!
Go draft your rookie wide receiver or quarterback. Go get Kenny Pickett. Get your man out of your backyard. He's going to be ready to be the next Ben Roethlisberger. But for Washington football team, quarterback is big on our list. We need to hit big on that. Look at Rashad. If you guys are watching, he's got the Commander's towel. Shows how fake he is to his Ravens. But
Oh no, this is my I oh man, I hate this cloth with all my passion. This is like my dirty rug.
and yet he still went and got to pick it up and had it. So let's see what that says about him as a fan. But Rashad, I know you got a lot to say about your Lamar Jackson situation in your offseason. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
I mean, yeah, with Lamar, Eric DeCosta said we're moving at Lamar's pace, and honestly, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I was talking to Mr. Smith, Browns fan. We had him on the show before, and he was saying like this was true. He said, Lamar Jackson, and Mr. Ellis said this too. Lamar Jackson has no leverage over the Ravens. He's not vaxxed. He has no agent, and let's be real, right? He only has one win in the playoffs out of the four. Wait, yeah, 4 appearances that he has. So I mean, looking at this, it's like if Lamar wants to get paid, he has to show why he's paid. He's already shown a great deal. He's already won a unanimous MVP. He's shown he can prove so much. He's a dynamic playmaker. Last season, we saw he made strides in his passing game, and with the right pieces around him, with the additions of Rashad Bateman and like the whole offense coming together, hopefully for this upcoming season, I think Lamar can make a deeper run in the playoffs, and we can probably win most of these games. We play the Bills next year. We play the Bucks. Even though without Brady, they're still a solid team. But with Lamar's contract, it's a very tricky situation. We don't know how much he's wanting. It's rumored that he might want 40 million a year, which it's a good. I mean, it's hard to say at this point. Considering how like other QBs are getting paid. Kyler Murray is demanding around 50 to 55 million, and these two quarterbacks are very similar in how they play. So I think with the way everything's out right now, with the way the cards are playing out, it's going to be, I don't think he's probably going to get his 5th-year option picked up, even though he might not prefer. I think that's what we have to do, because if we want to secure Lamar for the future, it's going to have to take time, because with the situation given, no vax, injuries, I forgot to add that injuries, he got injured and we lost every game without him, and no agent. I think that, working with him at his pace, seeing what he wants, seeing what the Ravens want, I think that we'll be able to come to an agreement that's best for both sides. And that's also cap friendly, because if we pay Lamar a good amount, what is he going to have around him? He's literally going to have nothing. He's going to have no defense, no offensive line, no weapons. It's just going to be him. And even though he's been carrying our offense for the past 3 years, it's not a one-man army. He still needs his key pieces. You saw how many times Lamar Jackson was sacked last year. And how many times he had to bust out scrambling during the Cleveland game? He had to scramble out while making a pass while he was getting chased by JOK from the Browns. When next thing you know, he's hurt and he's out for the rest of the season. So it's very vital that we pick the right price for Lamar, and while also making it team friendly so we can also build around him. But like I said, it's gonna come with time. And I'm more than willing to wait for Lamar to get extended because he needs to get the right contract, the contract he deserves, and that's also for the best. That's best for the team.
Wow, I'm going to stay on Lamar for a minute because it's way more interesting than anything that's happening with my team. Okay, who's going absolutely nowhere. But at the end of the day, we look at this situation. I say that it really just came down to the fact that Joe Burrow is in the Super Bowl. Okay, this wouldn't even be a conversation or discussion right now if Joe Burrow was not in the Super Bowl. If Mahomes had made the Super Bowl, we're not even talking about this. The Lamar contract, I think, is advanced significantly. I think Burrow getting the Super Bowl changed everything. I think it was a game changer. And not even for the right reasons. I think it was a game changer because the Baltimore fan base turned on Jackson a little bit. They really did. It wasn't his fault that he got injured. Okay, you had the vaccine situation, which was something that he brought into the picture, right? I'm not going to comment on whether or not he's right. What I appreciated, of course, was that he was honest about it. So I don't have a right to say what I think of him on that. That's his opinion. But I will say that his decision did complicate his status right now. That's not debatable, right? That's not debatable at all. We could debate whether or not we think he's right, but that doesn't matter. It's his choice, right? But it is a factor in his negotiation without a doubt, not to mention the agent piece. But again, I just get these horrible flashbacks of a time. And again, I will state this, they are very different quarterbacks. But I get the same feelings I got in 2001 after we lost that AFC Championship game. And even though Bledsoe finished it off, let's be real, the birth of a star happened the week before and the week before. And all of a sudden, it's like Cordell's not getting that big contract. And all of a sudden, Cordell's losing confidence. And all of a sudden, Cordell's not the same guy anymore. And you saw the same thing happen to Carson Wentz, by the way. So it's not a race thing. It's called a player thing. But it's called a similar kind of situation, which is you see great success happening on one end, and it then creates a ripple effect. And to me, this would be a titanic mistake for the Baltimore Ravens not to re-sign Lamar Jackson. But I'm going to predict right now that they are not going to. I'm going to predict right now that Lamar Jackson is going to be traded before the draft. And I'm going to predict that right now. And I'm going to state that for two reasons. I'm going to say, number one, because the Ravens are in a really precarious position in that they have significant holes on both sides of the ball. You can't afford to take on a $50 million contract and not have anybody around that guy. We've seen examples of this happen all over the league, including with Eli Manning, which basically destroyed the second half of his career in a way, right? His unbelievable success sort of led to that big contract, which leveled it up and they couldn't pay anybody else. So it's going to be really tough, I think, in that respect. But I think the other side that's also significant here is that the Baltimore backlash is unbelievable right now. I can't, but it's the same feeling I had as a Steeler fan when stuff was going down with Cordell. They're different players, but it's a similar situation in that you're an up-and-coming quarterback. You're expected to get a big payday, but you lost to a guy that you as a fan base thought, well, this guy's better. How? And here's Burrow, and now you're looking at the situation. Well, if Burrow got there, then why didn't we? And why is it worth paying you? Well, Baltimore, if you take that risk, you're going to see what happens. It isn't going to be good. Pittsburgh got extremely lucky where 2 years later we were able to draft Ben Roethlisberger. But the only reason we were was because we killed Cordell Stewart's confidence by not re-signing him and basically ending his career, which then led to many years of mediocrity before getting Ben. Not many, but 2.5, which is a lot in Steeler lore. It would be an eternity in Patriot.
Did Cordell become Slash after that?
Oh, no, he was Slash first. Let's remember, we go back to, 95 in his, debut season, he was unbelievable. He can go to the Super Bowl, playing the Slash role. He didn't become QB1 until 97.
And okay, all right. And so they never really invested in that. I can't remember that well.
Well, he was invested initially, but again, it was free agency was still in its infancy. It only started in 93, like actual official free agency started in 93. So we're talking about 4 years into free agency. It wasn't as developed as it is today. So it was a tougher situation for him. It was easier for the Steelers to be like, yeah, hit the bricks, bud. But it was shameful, in my opinion. And the way the city turned on Cordell after that game, which wasn't his fault. That game was not Cordell Stewart's fault. That game was a superior game plan by Bill Belichick.
Oh yeah, that was
I mean, number two
and Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe just
coming back.
I mean, nobody has a Drew Bledsoe on the bench to come up, to play that game. I mean, that's amazing.
No, unbelievable call by Ed Hockley. On a punt return that then the re-kick was the game winner. But
Troy Brown.
But let's be real. I mean, we were outplayed in that game, outcoached. But it wasn't Cordell's fault. Much like that Ravens loss 2 years ago to Buffalo, there's no way you could blame that game on Jackson. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, one second, I got you. But that pick six, I guess that was a deal breaker. But you gotta see, like, Justin Tucker, he missed, what was it, 3 field goals, and it was 2. Yeah, it was 2. One was looked like it was going in, and then the other, it just because of the wind. I mean, had Lamar not thrown that interception, we only held the Buffalo Bills defense or offense to 10 points. And
that was unbelievable.
And that's with that was
game, just a fluke game in general.
That was with Stephon Diggs.
If you had had Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Oh my God, Mr.
best bad weather kicker in NFL history. No,
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
But Windy did.
I think kicker, period, hands down. And I know that we want to say, Tucker's the most skilled and most efficient, but I mean, all time, who would I take if I had one kick to make? Who would I take in their prime?
Yeah.
I'm still going with the guy who's won more Super Bowls. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
Tough call though. I mean, look, you couldn't go wrong with either one.
Yeah. No, not at all. It's interesting with Jackson.
Scobie over all three though.
I take Mark Mosley over all your kickers. Only kicker to ever win MVP.
Barefoot.
I remember
in
that.
A strike season, but wasn't that a strike season though? Wasn't that just like I thought that was like
it was a strike season, but MVP is MVP, right?
Thumb or something.
MVP is MVP.
Unbelievable. The Lamar is an interesting case because, Mr. Ellis, if that did happen, if he were traded before the draft and Baltimore was just all in on maybe a rebuild or trying to lock down maybe a more solid team to get around another quarterback. But, this is what's going to happen to, the Commanders, if they go out and they go all in for a quarterback, whether it's Wilson or somebody else, they have some pieces in place. They're not going to have to necessarily go out and get a Terry McLaurin and get some other guys. I mean, they'll get some healthy receivers and some healthy offensive guys back. And so that technically seems like a decent place for it. But in Baltimore, if you got to give him all that money now, so you might have one more year with him, with Bateman, with Hollywood Brown, with Mark Andrews, they'll get their healthy running backs back. Their line's still decimated, I believe, but you've got maybe that 1 year. And then if you got to give him $40-50 million, same with Kyler Murray. Now it's not going to happen. And I know, Tom Brady's Tom Brady, but the years that he was in New England, and part of the reason that he had animosity at the end is he didn't really get enough, I guess, public. Part of it, I think, was the public, statements from the team and everything about how much he was not taking to let them get other players. And I think that is substantial. And maybe he had the ability to do that because he had other ways of making money and he had other things around him. And who knows what the reasoning was behind it. That'd be up to him. I'm sure there'll be a 30 for 30 on it or something, because those things are coming out of the woodwork every time I turn around. Man in the arena, man in my head, man everywhere in the house. But you're going to take all that money. You can't have one guy making all the money because you just can't bring enough people unless you get lucky and you have like a 3-year window. Like, what's going to happen to the Chiefs? I don't know what their numbers are and how long they have Mahomes signed up for, or, when they start to need new pieces. I mean, they do.
I think it's 10 years.
Wow. But what about their guys that he's throwing the ball to? Because much like Lamar, he's not going to win it by himself. I don't know.
I know that Mahomes contract is a monster, though. That man is making thousands per hour right now. And
Isn't it going to be a bargain in a couple of years, though? Like the way things are going. I mean, they locked him for 10, man.
Yeah. I don't know. With the way this quarterback market's going, it's crazy because
it's crazy.
Ravens,
it's not sustainable.
Yeah, because right now for the Commanders, I don't know what we should do because I don't like any of the rookie like quarterbacks coming out right now. I feel like they're all too raw for the city because the city demands excellence right away, even though we don't deserve it right away. We're
Mhm.
pretty bad. And Russell Wilson, of course, we can get him, but he's 32, 33. The way he plays, he's not going to play up to those Brady type of years.
No.
And the way these young quarterbacks are getting money, like 1 or 2 seasons of success, and you have to pay them big. And I'm not sure if you guys saw with the situation with Kyler Murray. He removed all the
I
Cardinal
saw that.
affiliation stuff off his social media, everything related to them. And I forgot who's the only person he follows, but like he removed a bunch of things. And I don't know how the Cardinals are going to handle that. I don't know how the Ravens are going to handle that. But it's interesting to see how these young quarterbacks are starting to bet big on themselves, like really big. Because I know the quarterbacks of old, they would be like, oh, team players. But now quarterbacks are like betting big on themselves. They know they're the face of franchise and they're trying to live up to it. But I feel like it's going to get to a point where it's going to start burning them because if you're going to ask for that type of big money, you better perform well. And the thing with Lamar, like Rashad said, he's 1-4 in the playoffs. Of course, he's a great player, but you can like ask for all this money. 1-3. Ask for all this money, but if you don't perform and it matters, who cares about what you do in the regular season? Like I'm happy going to the playoffs at 8-8, 9-8, like 9-7. But if we don't win, what's the point of paying you that money? And I don't know. Just that's a big thing for me because I don't know how this like the future of the quarterback thing is going to work because you have to pay all 52 other players on your team, and I feel like that's going to be a big interesting topic in the future with these quarterbacks. I'm not sure
But
what we can.
you need a quarterback to win, though. I mean, this Super Bowl shows it, and
Yeah,
last year's Super Bowl showed it. The year before, I mean, you need a quarterback to win, and those guys are expensive, and that it just doesn't seem sustainable to me that you can have $40 and $50 million one player. You
yeah,
know, and it's not to say that that's I guess that's just the way it works, but it's going to turn into a situation where like that contract for Mahomes, 7 years down the road, are they a middling team in the AFC West and Patrick Mahomes is still making all that money? I don't know.
yeah. It's also we saw like you can't really have a mediocre quarterback. We saw that with the Titans.
Not anymore.
Like, yeah, like you need to have an excellent quarterback, but the way they're asking for this money, it's going to be insane to see how it goes down. And I'm really interested in what the Steelers do because I feel like you guys are in one of the messier situations because you guys don't even have a real backup right now.
No, but we have a lot of money, and it's not something we haven't had in a long time. Now we would have had a lot more money if we hadn't, given quarterback money to a guy that's on the field making 7, 8 plays a game. But we'll know what the approach is in this offseason, right? You got Minka Fitzpatrick up for contract. Okay. You're gonna, give Cam Hayward a couple more years, probably just to keep him around. You've got your defensive pieces that you want to just kind of lock up if you're going to try to get this done. And so we'll see what happens, guys. I mean, I think what's going to happen is that we're going to absolutely stink next year. That's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to win like 5 games. I mean, it's just time. We're going to have one of those seasons. Even Baltimore had one of those seasons, and New England had their pseudo 5-win season the year prior to last year. Basically the Royale with the cheese off. But other than that, yeah, it is what it is, guys. We're gonna stink next year, and that's fine because in order to get a good player, sometimes you have to stink. And 2003 was a terrible season, and 2004 brought 7. And nice to see that jersey that went to the Hall of Fame today. I gotta say, Shab, I'll never, sit here and pretend like Ben Roethlisberger deserves anyone's attention off the football field in any way in life. Okay, I'm going to start with that and finish with it. But I'll say this: took some pride in him getting 4 in a row to close his career against the Ravens. That's kind of nice to close with 4 to end it. I mean, that's nice. And granted, circumstances were favorable, but also he missed a lot of games on bad luck against the Ravens over the years. In some pretty critical seasons like 2009, where that was neck and neck that season. Trying to defend our Super Bowl title. We were finally healthy with about 4 games to go, but we, had a big loss there. And then you come out and you had to play Dennis Dixon. Ben doesn't pass the concussion protocol, even though he's out there throwing. He's like WTF, going insane. Apparently had a huge tirade, roid rage fit at the facility that day. Like, why am I not allowed to play? So he doesn't get to play that game. We don't win it, And I think when you look at Burrow, people are talking about anointing this guy as, the second coming of Joe Montana. And that's not going to happen in this era. Okay. They're going to have to pay these guys. How are you going to pay all these weapons you got on offense? I mean, they're in a pristine situation right now. They even got Mixon on the cheap, right? So when you look at their situation in the future, it's not going to be so rosy. And, let the BSPNs of the world blow up, Burrow as the next big hope. But I just hope it doesn't cost the Ravens and the Steelers. I hope it doesn't cost the Steelers and that they do something stupid and pay somebody a lot of money who doesn't deserve it at quarterback just to get somebody in there to compete in this division. I get embarrassed by the Bungles again, which I can't call them that anymore now. I have to call them the Bengals. Let's be real. Saying that gives me no leg to stand on anymore. But, to beat Cincy, yeah, you're going to feel the pressure, but just eat next year. Whatever. They're a Super Bowl loser curse they're going to have, and, it's going to be what it's going to be. They're not going to win it next year. So just eat next year and move forward to 2023. Mike Tomlin's your coach. That's not even a question. If you want to be stupid and question it, look what happened with Harbaugh when they wanted to fire Harbaugh after 4 or 5 wins. They bounced back at Lamar and they're relevant again. So, yeah, that's not happening. So my very long answer to that, Ungad, is I expect us to absolutely stink next year, and we're going to roll and take a chance on Rudolph versus Haskins, but I think next year's starting quarterback week 1 will be neither of those guys. I think the starting quarterback week 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year is Joshua Dobbs.
I love Joshua Dobbs. He's an aerospace engineer. He was at the University of Texas or Tennessee,
Absolutely.
I think.
Tennessee. Yeah, he's Tennessee.
He's a
Smart guy.
Tennessee guy.
Not gonna lie, I thought Mr. Ellis was gonna say Russell Wilson right there. He
No
got me
way.
for a second.
No, I think it's Josh Dobbs, and I think he sat the season this year. He was ready to be number 1 backup this season. I think he sat the season with a minor injury because they wanted him to basically coach Ben and learn this offense and really learn this offense and be right there. And I think he'd be just as good as a Ryan. What's going to be the difference between him and a Ryan Fitzpatrick next year? Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing, right? So
No,
you're going to
that'd be
pay Ryan
point- that'd be
Fitzpatrick
pointless for you.
25 to
That'd
come
be
in and do
pointless.
what Dobbs could do for the same thing?
Mhm.
Not go to the playoffs, which Fitzpatrick has never done, right?
No,
Yeah.
So I think you go with Dobbs. He's mobile. He can move. He's smart. He's going to give the ball to Nodge 45 times. Our defense is going to be good. And we're going to win 10 games.
I thought you were going to win 5. I thought you were going to win 5. Boy, you doubled
I
in
just
just a
had
matter
the
of
psych
minutes.
there at the end, my friend. We're going to win 5. But I like the philosophy. It's what you got to do to get through. And you eat your 5 losses and get a good quarterback maybe in 2020.
By the way, I don't think I've ever seen Mason Rudolph complete a pass. He looks like an 8th grader out there to me for some reason. And it's not just because Myles Garrett chased him around like he was in the schoolyard. He just doesn't look like an NFL quarterback to me when he's out there. I don't see maybe it's because Ben's been there so long and he's such a figure, you know what I mean? Literally and figuratively, big dude and everything. But Mason Rudolph just doesn't strike me as Joshua Dobbs. Is he?
Well, but apparently he's got the sloughing jaw of Freddie Mercury because, he's dating like the Bachelorette or whatever. But yeah, all of a sudden when it gets on the field, it's, the guy that filled in for Freddie Mercury on all those tours after he passed, unfortunately, whoever, Adam Lambert or whoever that was,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not good.
Now you could be, in a situation like, my Patriots are, where Mac Jones is living his best life. He's in the Pro Bowl doing the gritty, you know what I mean? Like it's a situation that we've never seen before. It's a quarterback for the Patriots who sort of embraces this goofy youthfulness that we didn't see for an awful long time. Tom Brady was sort of serious from day one, it was from the minute he came in and said that, I'm the best decision this team has ever made. We've all seen that quote from him, but I do want to, mention, all things aside, that, if this really is the end of the road for Tom Brady, if he has hung it up for a career, I know he said the other day, you never say never, but I think he's just trying to, fuel the fire a little bit, because I'd have to think that he's accomplished above and beyond what I think anybody could ever imagine coming into the league and think you can do. So just as a Pats fan, even though the last 2 years were tough for me, even though my dad I wonder what my dad will do next year when he still watches the Bucks games. He was always like, what time are we on? And I'd have to say, you mean the Pats or the Bucks? But that's what Tom Brady did to New England, and while, those outside probably drove him crazy, I'm sure. But the guy won a lot of football games. He made everybody around him better. And that's why, to me, for example, if we talk a little bit about MVP and some of those things this year, I think he's the MVP. I mean, I know maybe that's just sentimentality for me, him going out, but he makes everybody on his team better just by the nature of kind of what he brings to things. I mean, he's 44 years old and he's still the first to arrive and the last to leave. I mean, I just, what a career. And, as a Patriots fan, it's great to have him linked to us and all the things he was able to do. And even those crushing losses to the NFC East teams, I won't even mention them, over the years in the Super Bowl. But from the moment he came on that year and the second year, and was just such a surprise, and the sort of humility he had from that point on, because I think he was kind of shocked at what he'd accomplished, to this ending point, going out gracefully, a little stumbling at the end, but that's part of social media. I mean, it's hard to do social media well when you're past, 25.
Talking about MVP, I personally have Tom Brady as my MVP too. But for my other awards, it's kind of for Defensive Player of the Year. I think Mr. Ellis's boy TJ Watt should get it. I wonder what he thinks about that, because TJ
Well,
Watt's a
Drew
big.
Brees won a bunch of MVPs with stats, so you can go ahead and give him a fake, fake award because it's meaningless. He has 0 playoff wins. And here's how I know Mel Blount has CTE, okay? And I feel for Mel. He's one of the greatest Steelers of all time. Amazing guy. The charity and the ranch that he runs in Texas is one of the most amazing things ever. Mel Blount doesn't have CTE. That was a horrific thing to say, but I'll say this. Mel Blount was off when he said that TJ Watt could have played with the old 70s Steelers, because the old 70s Steelers were out there every snap and TJ's out there every other possession, guys. I mean, are you kidding me? My whole plan for tonight, talking about the Steelers, and I'll end here because I talked way too much already, but to me, the whole TJ Watt thing, the whole Watt family in general in the NFL, like his brother, who's our special teams gunner, yet has never gunned on any play ever. In fact, I've never seen him be credited for a tackle, despite being the special teams captain. And then, of course, his big bro, JJ, who, had one stat padding playoff game, which he lost, but had one stat padding playoff game. The Watt family's never won a playoff game. I'm pretty confident, right? That's correct. Yes, in fact, it is. And so at the end of the day, folks, the Royal Scam, the LP behind me here, I wish the Steelers had hired Jeff Skunk Baxter as their general manager before and had Colbert retire the year before, because Jeff Skunk Baxter found Osama bin Laden, and I wish we would have found the words to tell TJ, we're going to franchise you, bud, and then you can figure things out, man. TJ scammed us big time, guys, and it's going to cost us for many years to come. So Josh Dobbs, here we come next year. At least we got an astronaut back there. And, in the words of the late Rod McNair, I'll say, it's all about dominance, baby. Unfortunately, we ain't going to have none of it for a bit.
That was a great couple of good shout outs there, Mr. Ellis, especially for McNair. That was a great one. You've been talking about him in class, or him in class, sorry. And is this?
Remember, he was a 5-time black belt, man. You better correct that.
I've been paying attention in class as a student. I've been paying attention, but so quick wrap up for individual awards for me, because I feel like this is a big thing for the season ending. But as I said, MVP, I feel like it should be Tom Brady. Offensive Player of the Year, I don't know how you don't give it to Cooper Kupp. And then Defensive Player of the Year, I want to give to Aaron Donald, because he's just been dominating in and out of this every possession. Unlike TJ Watt, as Mr. Ellis said, he's not there every possession. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I feel like Mac Jones should get it, because I just love the consistency he had. He's a great player, and I think he's good for the franchise. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I should be Micah Parsons, but I pray he doesn't get it, because he's going to get injured the following season, and I don't want that to happen to him, because that Defensive Rookie of the Year curse is vicious, and I don't want that falling upon him. But if it does happen, it happens. Hopefully he bounces back after that, because that curse is vicious, and I don't want it to catch him.
Yeah, for me, for my picks, MVP goes to TB12, the GOAT, of course. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm gonna have to agree with you on Cooper Kupp. Defensive Player of the Year, I mean, I'm gonna say TJ Watt this year. I know Mr. Ellis, you're cringing so hard right now, but but offensive rookie of the year, I gotta give it to Jamar Chase. He absolutely just tore the league up after people were just doubting him, starting him in the preseason, saying he needs the stripes on the football to see how fast it's going, and the drops and stuff. But defensive rookie of the year, Michael Parsons, of course. Comeback player of the year. At the start of the season, I thought it was gonna be Dak Prescott, but you know, the things played out differently. I gotta go with Joe Burrow. And coach of the year, I will give it to Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor has done a good job this year of, leading his team, from coming from like a 4-win season all the way back to the Super Bowl. I think he's gonna have a lot of success in the future. I think so. So I'll nominate him for coach of the year.
Oof, man. Well, let's start from the top. So we're gonna start. So first category again. I know the rest, but first category again.
MVP.
Overall MVP. Baker Mayfield. Here's why. No, here's why. I'm serious about this. No, look at it, right? In week 12, Cleveland absolutely annihilated the Bengals. A fully healthy Bengals squad annihilated them, right? By running the football, pounding it down their throats. But once Beckham was gone, the narrative became, well, now it's got to be about Mayfield. Now he's got to be able to get it downfield. And once that happened, they started to stink. And let me tell you, I was terrified that we were going to be looking at the Cleveland Clowns in this Super Bowl. And in my opinion, I think we might have been looking at the Cleveland Clowns in this Super Bowl had this whole Beckham thing not gone down. And when you see him go to the Rams, it proves to me what an impactful player he is, because you see him go to the Rams and the impact of just his presence and the aura of him. I don't even think he's that great. He's a good player. He's not a great player. He's not an amazing player. He's not a generational player. He's a good player who amazingly demands this attention, which has changed the Rams' entire team and season, right? Look at that Tennessee game where they got manhandled. That didn't really count because he was just kind of fitting himself in, right? But they got manhandled in that game. But once he got himself in rhythm, he became a decoy. Look out. So I say Mayfield changed the entire season to me, because I think Cleveland would have been in the Super Bowl the way they were playing at that point. And after that game, they were done because they started forcing the ball. They stopped running. Nick Chubb, I'm sorry, Ben, you would have lost your last game at Heinz Field, Ben, if the coaching staff of Cleveland had given the ball to Nick Chubb. You would have lost your last game at Heinz Field badly. Badly. Because the way they drove it the first two, are you kidding me? At will, 10 points to start the game and then never scored again? The Royal Scam was what that was, because we were about to get dominated in that game, and then all of a sudden they stopped giving him the ball, right? So to me, MVP, Mayfield, for many reasons. Rookie of the year, the greatest rookie of all time, Jamar Chase. Next. That's statistically everything. The greatest rookie season of all time by any player, in my opinion, is Chase. The Bengals are in the Super Bowl, guys. It's not just the quarterback. Look at what he did against the Bengals. Look what he did against the Ravens and the Steelers. Absolute dominance. Defensive player of the year, anyone but 90. Mr. E out. Thank you, guys. No more freezing cold takes till next season. But I want to just quickly pay tribute to two gentlemen who not only received opportunities to go to the University of Maryland, my alma mater, and a great university, but several other amazing colleges. And just, my heart and feelings are with these guys. I've known On God since middle school. We both went through something in that place. And the fact that you have emerged to become the guy that you become, man, is just something that I'll never be able to not be excited about, man. I'll tell you, you made a huge difference. And now just having you in the classroom every day is just another level of awesomeness. And it's just great to see you caring about things like legacy, caring about PB, making PB a priority in your life, and recognizing the greatness that it can be. It's a great school. And I've been fortunate to only be in it 5 years. I know Mr. Woodward has been the better part of 2 decades.
My life.
So, and then, of course, Rashad, just No words for you, man, other than to say that, we brought you on last year for a one-off to see how you look. We already knew Angad was in. I mean, I knew he was in back when he was, in middle school. I knew we were gonna do this, and he was gonna be in when it was his time. But so I had him planned long before that. But for you, man, you just stepped in and just, I mean, dominated from day one. And even if anybody wanted to bring on anybody else to even be considered, like, there was no way you were going to allow it to be denied. And I think that's kind of been your approach to everything with your academics and everything in your life, man. And just give you a big shout for, being able to put that package together and deliver and put yourself in a position to have great success in life, man. You certainly deserve it. And finally here to Mr. Wood, just to say, man, that having you on, all year long, and something that was something that, I had kind of started way back when I was teaching middle school, and to come here to PB and to have your guys' support in just my first year of teaching, and now all the way through to this. I'll say that, any success I've had in that place has been a result of knowing you and being connected to you. And I'll say, without a doubt, man, having you on the show this year add another layer of credibility and expertise to us that we didn't have before. Not to mention the great references that I still go back and try to catch. And it's like watching Star Wars, man. Like the 30th time you watch it, you catch one of the Wood references. So great stuff, man. Appreciate you, and also a great family man as well. And I know Rashab and Angad, you guys come from great fams. So this is a great family unit, guys, and so appreciate you guys a lot.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ellis. That's beautiful thoughts all around, and that we all feel the same way. You're the centerpiece of all this. You're the linchpin. You're the big toe, and you're the one that drives the bus. Really, you're Mrs. Frizz. So we appreciate all those things, and it's that enthusiasm. Not to mention that insane recall you have of the 1995 Week 13 game that the Steelers played, and then you pull some other reference out from a game that all of us, the three of us, will be looking at each other like, is that a real statistic? But yes, it is. You could go back and check it. And so we appreciate you driving the bus, because you certainly are the one that brings it all together for us. I know that. If I'm going to look at some picks, I already told you my Tommy boy pick for MVP, and that's for sure. And sure, Cooper Kupp sounds like a good pick. And I do have to agree on Joe Burrow on the comeback player. I mean, that's an ACL injury. Less than a year, right? Recovery for that. Is that correct for Joe Burrow? I mean, that's amazing, because he moves in the pocket really well. And I'm not really seeing a sense of, limping or, really, I don't think he was the most mobile guy before, but he doesn't really look like an immobile guy now. So that's impressive to me. And I got to give credit to him for that. And Jamar Chase. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Mac Jones and I like what he's done, but he plateaued, and I don't think Jamar Chase did. And I think Jamar Chase, when we were talking in the summertime, I think, Rashab, you brought it up, they're going to have to put the stripes back on the ball. I don't think anybody's thinking that anymore. You could do anything you want. He's going to catch the ball, man. Jamar Chase had an absolutely amazing year. But the one pick that I'm going to go, and Aaron Donald, there's a lot. I think TJ Watt did have a good year. And I think Mr. Ellis, I think what Mel Blount was saying is he'd love to have TJ Watt on that defense, because they would kick his ass and turn him into a potentially valuable player on that, because he's no Jack Ham. He's no Jack Lambert. He's no Mel Blount. He's no, Dwight White, Joe Green.
He's no Levon Kirkland, man. Are you kidding me?
Levon Kirkland was a beast, though. He was an absolute
Come
animal.
on, man. I mean, yeah.
Joey Porter.
Let's line up Levon Kirkland in today's NFL, and let's see how he does, right? Let's see how quickly he gets to the passer. I mean, are you kidding me?
So
are you kidding me?
Greg
Lloyd. About being held.
Greg Lloyd.
TJ complains about being held. Yeah, Greg Lloyd.
So, the point is, I think that's what Mel Blount's point was. He was saying, bring him in the locker room. We'll tape TJ to a locker. And when he's ready to play every down, and pay for dinner, because Mel Blount never saw a payday like that. And he was 100 times the player that TJ Watt is. But I'll go with Aaron Donald, because the guy impacts every single play. We talked about Jonathan Allen, the great year he had, and he definitely dominated. But now you see how dominant Aaron Donald is, because he's on another level altogether, maybe two levels just in terms of what he can do in a football game. But the person I want to focus on in this is not a player. It's Rich Bisaccia. And to me, I feel like he should get the coach of the year. What happened in Las Vegas this year, the first year in Vegas, and I was surprised that he didn't get the job. I really was. So I didn't know much about him to start, but what they were able to do and then make the playoffs and then almost beat the Bengals. I mean, they were in that game with the Bengals. They really deserved to be. To me, he did the best job as a coach this year. That really stood out to me.
Well, and now he's going to the Packers as a special teams coach, right? Is that like just to get him in the building? Like they just wanted his awesomeness in the room, man. And could that be enough to put them up over the because clearly that special teams was a big factor in why they blew it.
Yeah, fourth guy in 4 years, I think, to run the special teams. And now, granted, that's a movement job. You don't stay in that job forever, I don't think, but still. But
I mean, hey, man, 1 year could be enough.
The fact that he got them to where he got them, and I know the players did too. They had a lot to do with it. But
he basically he ended the Ravens season in week 1.
Oh gosh.
No, he did. And then he ended our division chances in week 2. No, he really did.
Yeah.
Right? He really did. Yeah. And then he exposed Dallas on Thanksgiving. And then he exposed the Colts 3 weeks later. And then he gave the big old Shakespearean nose thumb to the Chargers. I mean, that was amazing. Yeah, agreed. Insane that they would take Josh McDaniels over him. And I know McDaniels is a great coordinator, but are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
All I can say is I'm glad every time Josh McDaniels is up for a job, I am okay with it because I do not want him to be I don't want him to be Bill Belichick's, heir apparent, his successor. I don't see that being a good fit at all. It'll, who knows when BB will hang it up, but Bisaccia, just loved the job that he did this year. I just thought it was impressive all around. I mean, I hate to say, I'm going to say it one more time. I think the man took command.
Is that your final command throw in for this podcast?
No, I mean, I could command all night, really. Really, the name alone commands attention. I mean, there's just so many different places you can go with it,
Honestly, I've come to terms with it. My go-to phrase is, we're based in the city that commands half the world. We have to honor our military. It honors and laud great people. So why not the Commanders?
Glass half full. That's the way to go on, God. That's going to get you a lot of places in life. That's the way to do it.
These sports teams on my wall have taught me life has to be lived glass half full. If you live glass half empty with these teams, my God, I would hate sports.
I can't even fathom the fact that you were not alive for any of the Bulls titles. I can't even fathom that.
It was amazing.
It's okay. If you guys want to jump ship from football to basketball during this off season, my Bulls running it up.
My starting lineup figures are up there for a reason. You see up there, I got Bird. I got still the package. I got Bird. I got the entire first series. I got a bunch of them up here. So
I couldn't name a player who's on
Reggie
the Bulls
Lewis.
right
Reggie
now.
Lewis is my crown jewel. That one's in a bigger case. My Reggie Lewis signed one is over there, but
you should have seen Reggie Lewis at Northeastern. Unbelievable.
Could only imagine, man. Met him a few times. Loved him.
Great guy.
Legend.
All right. I think.
Fellas.
Oh, Mr. Ellis, you got it.
No.
I was gonna say it's been a great podcast, great time with you guys all season long. Great picks, horrible picks, funny moments. Glad it all happened here on this podcast. A lot of memorable moments, a lot of funny Mr. Ellis quotes, and lots of weird references. We got an Osama bin Laden reference somehow with someone finding Osama bin Laden in our last podcast of the season.
Oh, right.
Jeff Skunk Baxter, who wrote some of the best guitar riffs of all time, was one of the guys that found bin Laden. I mean, I'm serious. This is not a joke. It's the truth. He was Central Intelligence. I'm not kidding, fellas.
Probably one of the best shout outs we've had. Probably will be the best shout out on PBHS Edge. Great connection.
Can't get much better than that.
Yeah, that's a great Mr. Ellis quote for the last podcast for the regular season. our
Yeah,
postseason.
Hey,
You should get it. You should
I,
get it
I, I
like written
picked
up
him
black.
up on the side of the stage after he played with Blues Traveler at Virginia Beach with Blues Traveler and Hanson. I picked him up and carried him off the stage with the guitar still plugged in. He was going insane. He was great.
That just, I still can't believe that reference. Lots of, I would say wise, full words from Mr. Woodward. Always cool, calm, collected. Great job being the exact opposite of Mr. Ellis. Nothing too wild, always calculated. And we got Rashad always doing his statistics, trying to make it look like the Ravens could do something every week, and yet they failed once the season. And then you guys know, glass half full with my Washington Commanders. They picked us to win so many games, and yet we lost. And shout out to AJ. He was here as long as he could bear the Seahawks' mediocrity. It got too much to handle for him. Just too much mediocrity. He's not used to that. I've been used to it. But just a great season overall. Hopefully we can see you guys around the draft time. But it's been a great regular season and postseason. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I feel like that's a wrap for PBHS Edge. Have a great night, guys.